Every season, the average bass angler burns through somewhere between $300 and $500 in lures, lost on snags, shredded by pike, sitting in a tackle box collecting dust because they never worked in the first place. And every season, the tackle industry counts on you walking back in and doing it all over again. But what if I told you that the crankbait you lost on that stump last weekend, the one that cost you $15, is made from about 60 cents worth of balsa, 2 hooks, and a plastic lip? And what if I told you that a guy in his garage built one for 87 cents that outfished every premium bait in his buddy's $200 tackle box? That's not a hypothetical. That happened last Tuesday. I'm showing you exactly how to build lures that outperform the ones draining your wallet for about $1 each. This is Fishing Behind the Curtain. Smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss a single video where we uncover the secrets they don't want you to know. And stick around, because the last build on this list outperformed a $22 Rapala in a blind head-to-head test. Number 8, Pro Tricks. The holographic tape finish. We're starting with the one hack that upgrades every single build on this list. You know those premium holographic or chrome lures that cost $2 to $5 more than the standard painted version? That finish is commodity craft tape. You can buy a roll at any craft store or online for $3 to $5, enough to finish 50 to 100 lure bodies. That's about 3 cents per lure. Here's the thing, holographic film scatters light across the visible spectrum in a pattern that mimics the iridescent scale flash of shad and minnows. Predator fish use contrast detection and spectral reflection to find prey. A hand-applied tape finish creates the exact same multi-spectral flash as a factory-sprayed foil. Translation, 3 cents of craft store tape does what a $5 factory chrome finish does. Same flash, same spectrum. You're paying for the word holographic on the box. Number 7, the tin can spinner blade. This one is going to make you look at your recycling bin differently. A Mepps Aglia, arguably the most popular inline spinner ever made, retails for $4 to $7. The blade, which is the only part the fish actually cares about, is a stamped piece of brass worth about 2 cents at wholesale. You can cut a functional spinner blade from a soda can with scissors and a hole punch. Polish one side, mount it on a clevis with a wire frame and a bulk hook, and you've got an inline spinner for 10 to 15 cents. The science backs it up. A polished aluminum blade from a soda can actually has a higher reflective index than plated brass in stain or turbid water. The markup on a Mepps Aglia is roughly 3,000 to 5,000% over raw materials. Snorts. Translation, a soda can, a piece of wire, and a hook. That's a Mepps. They don't want you to figure that out. Number 6, the hardware store jig. A retail base jig from a brand like Booyah or Strike King runs $4 to $7. Let's break down what's actually inside. The lead head, 3 cents. The hook, 8 cents. The powder coat paint, 1 cent. A hand-tied silicone skirt, 5 cents. Total raw material, under 15 cents. They're selling it to you at roughly 40 times the material cost. Jigs catch fish because they present a compact profile that mimics crawfish. The action comes from the skirt flaring and pulsing when you move the rod. Fish respond to silhouette and movement. A hand-tied skirt with 40 to 50 strands of fine-cut silicone performs identically to a factory version. Translation, 15 cents a lead, a hook, and some rubber strands. That's all a jig is. They're charging you for the blister pack. And if you're finding this breakdown useful, hit the like button. It really helps. The channel cut through the noise. Number 5, the 50-cent buzzbait. Retail buzzbaits run $6 to $12. A DIY version, bent wire frame, a bulk buzz blade for 5 to 10 cents, a skirted jig head, and a paracord trailer. Comes in at 30 to 60 cents total. I bet you didn't know that bass don't strike a buzzbait because it looks good. They strike because it makes a racket. The blade churns the surface, creating a bubble trail and a clacking sound that mimics a fleeing baitfish. It triggers a predatory reflex, pure aggression, not hunger. And the acoustic signature of a hand-bent buzz blade is virtually indistinguishable from a factory blade. It's the water displacement that matters, not the manufacturing precision. Translation, a 50-cent DIY buzzbait makes the same racket as a $12 one. You're not buying sound quality, you're buying the speaker brand. Number 4, the grocery store scent infusion. And now the tackle industry really doesn't. Want you paying attention. Berkeley Gulp and Powerbait charge a 30 to 50% premium for scent. The active compounds are amino acids, L-alanine, betaine, glycine. You know where else those compounds are. Canned sardine juice, crushed shrimp shells, anise oil from the baking aisle. Cost per batch infusion, 10 to 25 cents. Fish detect dissolved amino acids at concentrations as low as 10 to the negative ninth molar. The amino acid profile of sardine oil closely mirrors the profiles found in freshwater prey species. A 2003 study confirmed that L-alanine is the single most effective feeding stimulant for a largemouth bass. You can buy a pound of it for $12, enough to scent thousands of baits, or you can soak your plastics in sardine brine from a $1 can. Translation, they're selling you diluted sardine juice in a squeeze bottle for $9. You can make a stronger version from the dollar store. Number 3, dollar store spinnerbait. Here's the thing, this one made me angry when I did the math. Retail spinnerbaits run $5 to $15. A DIY version with a polished teaspoon blade, stainless wire frame, poured lead head, and a bulk silicone skirt costs 25 to 40 cents. That's a 2,000 to 4,000% markup at retail. A Colorado blade thumps at 4 to 8 hertz, depending on retrieve speed, activating the lateral line of predator fish. A polished teaspoon reflects UV light at the same intensity as a commercially plated blade. The fish cannot tell the difference. Translation, the fish are reacting to vibration and flash. They don't care if it says Strike King on the packaging. If this is already blowing your mind, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's next. Number 2, the poured soft plastic worm. This is the single best bang for your buck DIY build in all of fishing. A retail pack of 10 Yamamoto Senkos runs $7 to $10. A gallon of plastisol costs 15 to 20 bucks and yields 200 to 300 worms. Your per unit cost 5 to 10 cents. The raw material in a Senko is plastisol PVC blended with salt for weight. The salt costs nothing. The plastic costs fractions of a cent. A one-time mold investment of $15 to $30 pays for itself after a single batch. And you can add amino acid scent oils during the pour, something the premium brands charge extra for. Translation, you're paying $8 for 10 cents of salted plastic in a bag with a logo on it. The tackle industry doesn't want you to know that a $15 mold and a jug of plastisol replaces their entire soft plastics aisle. Number 1, the dollar crankbait. The build I teased at the top of this video. A Rapala original floating minnow retails for $8 to $12. Premium crankbaits from Megabase or Lucky Craft hit $18 to $22. A hand-carved balsa crankbait with a Lexan lip and bulk treble hooks, 50 cents to $1. Rapala carves from balsa, one of the cheapest, lightest woods on the planet. A 36-inch block costs $3 and yields 15 to 20 lure blanks. Their estimated production cost per unit is well under $1. Crankbaits work through wobble frequency and diving depth, both controlled by lip angle and body shape. A properly angled Lexan lip produces a wobble between 5 and 12 hertz, the exact range that triggers a bass's lateral line. The fish responds to the displacement wave, not the paint, not the brand, the wobble. Translation, you're paying $20 for a piece of balsa, 2 hooks, and a plastic lip. It's like buying a $2 umbrella at an airport for $28 because it's raining. The tackle industry profits from one belief, that you can't build what they sell. You can. Every lure on this list is made from the same commodity materials: lead, wire, plastic, wood, paint, hooks. The brands add a logo, a blister pack, and a 2,000 to 5,000% markup. That's the business model. Now you know. Here's your action plan. 1. Start with soft plastics. They're the easiest and cheapest to pour. 1 gallon of plastisol and a $15 mold replaces an entire season of Senko purchases. 2. Buy hooks and blades in bulk. These are the only components you can't easily make, and bulk pricing drops your cost to pennies. 3. Raid your hardware store and grocery store before you ever walk into a tackle shop. Wire, scrap lead, sardine oil, anise extract, holographic tape. It's all there. 4. Test one DIY build against its retail equivalent on your next trip. One head-to-head test is all it takes to break the spell. Let me know in the comments which build on this list you're trying first. And if you want to see more of the side of the industry they don't want you to see, subscribe and hit the bell. I'll see you in the next one.